Alrighty, so welcome to the last Call Dec coaching call of 2016 and the last day of 2016. It's it's been a really fast year. Cannot believe it already. So look, I've got a lot of really cool stuff that I want to share with you, and I appreciate everybody taking time in their busy schedules to come out and listen. So I take that stuff seriously, so I want to add as maximum value as I possibly can. Those of you who know me know this is not going to be a sales call. And what I'm doing here is every year people make these New Year's resolutions. And I'm not here to tell you that New Year's resolutions don't work. I think they do work. But we're going to look at it from a different perspective. And it's something you've probably never heard of. It's not something rehashed from a Tony Robbins speech or something like that, but rather from my life experience and just kind of looking back and then sharing with you. So let's go ahead and get started here. So basically what I'm going to do in the very first part of this is I'm going to share my top 3 tips for setting yourself up for success so that in 2017 and beyond, you have really transformational change. There's a difference between change and just transformational change. Transformational change involves really letting go of your current self. It's kind of kicking your current self out and making room for your new self to come in. And that's where true, permanent, sustainable change takes place. And that transformational process is never ending. It keeps evolving and growing. Then we're going to look at the number one thing that I can guarantee you that's probably holding back 99.9% of every single one of you. And the way I'm going to present it, you'll know for sure whether it's actually affecting your life and how deep it is. And it's just one thing. And if you can get through this one thing, you really start living life. And then we're going to get, so the first 2 things that we're going to go over here are really more of the strategy stuff. And then we're going to get into the last thing, which is the tactical stuff. And that's what everyone else is covering. Everyone else is covering the tactics and, step this, write down your goals, blah, blah, blah. Go to the gym, all this kind of stuff, write down your goals, visualize, read new books, and so on and so forth. That's all tactical stuff, but tactical stuff doesn't work unless you got these first 2 phases of it figured out. Otherwise, you're just going to end up every year and every weekend and every month pressing the repeat button over and over again, and you're going to look back in 5 years and you've gone nowhere. You're in the exact same spot where you are. The bank account is the same, you have the same anxieties, you have the same fears, you have the same worries, and you even have the same ambitions and dreams. Everything's just like frozen and you just can't seem to get out of it. I'm sure many can relate to that. So if you look at these 2 glasses on here, the one on the left-hand side is a nice, cool glass of water. And on the right side, that's a drink, right? That's a spirit drink. Can we all agree that if you drink one over the other, each drink is gonna make you feel differently, right? It's going to affect you mentally immediately. Glass of water, gonna be clear-headed, you're going to get hydrated. The mixed drink, you're going to immediately feel different, right? No big deal there. Same exact thing with everything you put in your body. There's a reaction to it. If you're going to go to McDonald's, and let's face it, especially during the busy holiday seasons, there's probably a lot of you that were too busy to prepare or plan to feed your body some healthy food, so you just did the most convenient thing. The path of least resistance. So maybe you had some fast food. And let's be honest, we all feel this way. When you have your fast food, it might feel good immediately, but literally 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, you just don't feel good, right? So the point is that what you put inside your body affects you mentally and immediately on that. And it has long-term effects on here. And if you want to dive into this and get to know kind of the facts behind it, and you have some curiosity about it, I recommend this book on here, Your Brain on Food. Okay. So look, I want to cover the top 3 methods on here. This is the strategies, okay, so that you can now implement the tactics later. The 3 methods that make 2017 a transformational year for you on here. These 3 are fasting. A lot of you that follow me know about fasting. I'm diving a little bit deeper into it. I'm not going to get into the real details of it, but a nice little basic course. So if you have some questions about it, or you've thought about dabbling into it, hopefully I can answer those right now and get some of the fear away. Second thing is here, we want to try to lower insulin levels. And third thing, just some basic exercises. All this stuff is going to give you wind in your sails, okay? Because we can sit and talk about tactics and sails and how big your boat is and where you want to sail to, but if you don't have the right wind, it's not going to happen, okay? It's just not going to happen. So fasting on here. So some of the benefits of fasting, and those of you who follow me, I apologize if this is a repeat, but it's always good to reinforce. The benefits of fasting. Number 1, it's free. It costs you nothing. It saves you money on here. Anyone can do it. I should probably add a caveat to that. If you're pregnant, don't want to do it. If you're diabetic 1 or 2, you can do it, but under a doctor's supervision, so you know how to monitor your insulin levels. And if you're a growing non-adult, you definitely don't want to be doing it, okay? But everyone else, absolutely. It increases mental alertness during the day. Now you might be thinking, I'm already mentally alert. Well, you don't know what you don't know. Trust me, everyone who's ever tried this, the number one thing they come back to me always and say is, I didn't realize what a mental fog I was under my entire life. It just lifts it up. I'll explain that why in a minute. Fasting cures type 2 diabetics within a week or less. You can contact Dr. George Dung, D-U-N-G, MD in the United States. He has an entire clinic and other doctors across the United States that do this. 7 days or less, they're cured. They're off all medications, everything. It increases human growth hormone. Human growth hormone is the sexy hormone. It's the hormone that makes you young. It gives you energy. It takes the wrinkles away, helps your hair grow back, keeps you young and youthful. And scientific studies clearly show that fasting increases not only HGH, but all the other good hormones. And the hormones are what regulates us. It's what makes us who we are. It's what makes a female and a male on here. And you want to have all those in peak proportions, and fasting can help get those back to where like when you were a teenager. And I've had this before. One of the posts, some of you may have remember, was posted about fasting, and then one of the comments down below, which I saved that I should have posted in here, gentleman was asking, he was in mid-50s, he was asking, is it normal that I get wood during the day? And I said, well, it sounds like you're fasting correctly. And another thing here, one thing that's happening right now, it doesn't get a lot of publicity on this end of it, but the infertility rate around the globe is at an all-time high. And you probably, maybe some of you know couples who are trying to have kids, but they can't. Lose weight. Losing weight is the last reason I ever did fasting, but that is one reason to definitely do it. It works. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of really interesting studies out there, concrete studies that are going on, that fasting starves cancer cells. And what it comes down to basically is that basically every cell in your body can survive off of 2 basic sources of fuel. Glucose, which is sugar, and then ketones, which is fat. The only cell in your body, and we all have these cells in our body, they're called cancer cells. I don't want to scare anybody, but we all have them in there. They cannot survive off of ketones. When you get into fasting and then you monitor what you're eating, you're going to be in a ketosis state. You starve out the cancer cells. There's a great podcast. Tim Ferriss has done one. If you follow the Bulletproof podcasts, they also did some great interviews with some doctors that have these scientific studies going on right now. The problem is that there's no money and basically not eating, right? Not eating and curing cancer. So it doesn't get a whole lot of publicity, unfortunately. But, so let's go over fasting here. Some of the myths on here. Myth number one, fasting will slow your metabolism. If you read the book by Dr. George Dung, D-U-N-G, M.D., and he only has 2 books out, and it's his most recent one. I think it's called The Ultimate Guide to Fasting. Anyways, there's tons of references and stuff like that. If you're like one of these PubMed people who subscribe to it, you want to go in and look at the articles, you can. The studies. Anyways, fasting, people think when you don't eat, it's going to slow down your metabolism. Instead, you want to eat the 6 meals a day to speed it up. That's absolutely not true. The studies clearly show that when you fast, people who are fasting for 18 hours a day, 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days. In fact, the longest day anyone's to record has fasted is 328 days. It speeds up metabolism. I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but I referenced some stuff you can look at if you're interested in that. And just think about this for just a second. The amount of energy that we've got stored in our liver is our glucose. It usually lasts around 24, 36 hours. Then it runs out. Then the body says, well, what else do I have to burn to survive? Well, the fat off your body, okay? And if you kind of calculate that you're probably, maybe you burn around 2,000 calories a day, just for as an example, and there's 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. Most of us have got quite a few pounds of fat on us. You can easily see how you could sustain for a month, 2 months, and someone who could sustain for a year or longer is usually clinically obese, 100, 200 pounds overweight. That's what it's there for, okay? And the body runs just fine with that. Now, fasting burns muscle. It's an absolutely, this is absolutely wrong. And when you're in a fasting state, you actually increase hormones, you start burning fat, you increase alertness in your brain, and it by no means burns muscle at all, because the body wants to survive. And how it's going to survive is not by making you weaker, but by making you stronger and faster to go out and get your next meal. Decreases energy levels for other reasons that I've sent up there. It just absolutely doesn't. Now, in the beginning, think about it. You're, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, and you go on a fast for 18 hours, and you're normally eating breakfast and lunch, and you stop doing that. Your body's going to trick you that you're starving. You're not starving, okay? You got 30, 40, 50 pounds of fat on you. You're not starving, okay? And you might feel like it's decreasing energies on there, but just give it a little bit longer. It won't. You'll suddenly just like wake up, and everybody experiences that. Alrighty, so the next thing on that, okay, so let me just cover really quick things on fasting. An easy way just to intro fast, nothing extreme, is just to skip breakfast and just have coffee, tea, and water. And then have lunch, and then do that for a couple of days, and then push lunch back till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Do that for a while, and then eliminate lunch, eliminate breakfast, and your first meal is going to be actually dinner, and then you'll have one more meal after that. And you're just basically taking the same amount of calories. I would recommend you don't even count them. The whole theory of calories in, calories out is flawed. And I don't even want to get into that. I could talk about that for an hour or so. But that's why in The Biggest Loser, there's no reunions, because they all gain the weight back. And so anyways, we want to reduce insulin levels. The reason is that that's going to help keep your moods level. And in addition to that, almost every chronic disease known, from arthritis, Alzheimer's, heart disease, liver failure, has to do with insulin levels maintaining a very, very high level for your entire life. This is really the first time in history in the past 100 years where basically the primary things that we're eating, just everything spikes insulin levels. And when the insulin level goes up, and insulin is a hormone, and it's designed specifically just to store fat. So you spike it up, it's like, oh, too much in the blood, glucose got stored as fat. So, you walk around, and the last time I was back in the United States, which was years ago, I was shocked at how many fat and obese people there were, even though the stats show it. You spend time in Europe and, well, not necessarily the UK, but you spend time in Europe and Asia for a few years and just get tuned in to seeing people that are just like have like a normal waistline. They don't look like gigantic bovine humans with these just gigantic freaking hips and hands and shoulders and these floppy things off the back of their arms and stuff. It's really unbelievable. Anyways, so, and that's all has to do with insulin. It's not too many calories. It has nothing to do with any too many calories. It has everything to do with measuring your insulin levels. How do you reduce them down without sitting down and measuring them? Well, you want to get rid of anything that's going to raise it up. So I'd be getting rid of wheats. I'd be replacing those with slower burning, more complex carbs. A lot of stuff I did on my Snapchat channel, or it's not even a channel, and then YouTube and stuff is that I show some of the meals that I eat. And anytime I'm eating any kind of carbs, it's really slow burning carbs. Like it's not processed stuff. It's like quinoa, it's squash. It's going to be yams, and I'll be happy to smother those in some good grass-fed butter. And so we're going to increase the amount of omega-3 fats. I'm not going to list them all out here. You can Google it if you're interested in starting to take care of your health here. And then switching your diet to eating moderate protein, not high protein, because high protein actually spikes insulin levels and just turns into fat anyways. Higher fats on that, it's a really great way to eat. Keeps you very level and full and satiated. Lots of vegetables and very moderate carbs on that end of it. Okay. Exercise, easy. I'm not even going to get into this. It's just like do some HIIT. There's plenty of HIIT apps out there. You could do HIIT, and that HIIT is just kind of, it's high intensity for short periods of time. There's plenty of free HIIT apps you can put on your phone. If you get one of those, I would set it for 30 seconds of high intensity, 1 minute or 60 seconds of low, moderate, and just flip-flops back and around. Do that for 10 or 15 minutes. You don't even need to be in a gym doing that. You can do burpees. You could be running up your stairs in your house. You could be doing push-ups and sit-ups, back and forth, alternated for as quickly as you can for 30 seconds, and then for the 1 minute, just walk around the house. Or you could be doing this on a park, and you could be doing step-ups on a bench. On that, you don't need any specialized equipment, nothing. You can do it in your house, you can do it outside, you can do it up a hill. Very, very easy to do. Just that 3 minutes, three times a week, 15 minutes, as easy as that. Okay, so, all right, let's talk about this. This is the one that excites me the most, because this is the aha kind of one of my own personal transformations I went through, and I never realized how much it affected my life until I saw it presented the way I'm going to present to you right now. So, look, it's procrastination. And I know we've all heard it, and we all think we know what it is, but do you really realize what it is and how damaging and how much it takes away from your one and only life that you have on here? So I'm going to show you some slides. These first two slides, the neurologists have actually shown that the brain patterns are different. The brains are completely different from someone who procrastinates and doesn't. So I don't want to get too technical, but let me show you the first brain picture on here. So here, this is the brain image, all right, of a non-procrastinator. And this is what it actually looks like, okay? So we all have this rational decision maker inside our brains. I do things that make sense. I think long term. I'm not a child, right? So this is what a procrastinator brain looks like. Now check this out. We got the monkey in there. It's this instant gratification monkey. Now the thing about the monkeys on that is they're not quite as developed mentally, and so they're not really concerned about the past or the future or consequences. They're just about having fun now, and they want easy. Fun and easy is really what they're all about. So what happens on here is that you sit down, you want to get some work done, right? And the monkey's like, hey, wait a minute. No, let's not do that. Let's watch some YouTube videos, or let's go on Google Maps and zoom in on India and then zoom out really slowly and waste an hour doing that, just so we know for sure what India, the country, might look like. Or we might decide we need to go on Facebook and just see any new post or something like that. We'll just take a quick break, and while we're on there, let's watch some of these videos that some people post. That's the monkey. The monkey's concerned about right now, easy and fun. And it's like, oh, hey, I know this doesn't seem like that much fun. Let's pretend like we're doing some work, and let's reorganize our to-do lists. And there's some other things that we wanted to do, so let's make another to-do list. And while we're at it, maybe there's some more food in the fridge or something has changed in the last 10 minutes that we checked it. And that's the monkey. Now the monkey takes us to what is termed as the dark playground. And it's a dark playground because, you can go out and play with the monkey and go out and do different things with the monkey, but you don't really fully enjoy it because you haven't deserved it, you haven't earned it, and you've got all the pressure of things you have to do. Yet you continue to go out there, but it's not enjoyable. Okay, can you relate to that? You might do this during your work day, and then you're off work, and like, oh geez, I didn't get that much done. And then it's supposed to be your free time to be with family and friends. You might even have a dinner date set out with your significant other, and you're still in the dark playground. You can't fully enjoy it. So, what's this? This is the panic monster. This is the only way to get rid of that fucking monkey, is this panic monster comes out and he scares the crap out of this monkey, right? This monkey's like, ah! And you get worried too. It's a panic monkey. It's a panic monster. And so that monkey takes off into the tree and like, whew, now I can get some work done. Well, the panic monster is what? It's a deadline, right? It's that deadline. We've all done this, right? School's a good relationship for that. If we're given, 1 month to do an important term paper or something like that, do we start that on day one? No way. We'll think about it. Our plan in our head is this, but then the monkey comes along, and what happens is we end up waiting until day 28 and pulling up a couple of all-nighters and turning the paper in. That's because the monster, when the monster comes out, the monster doesn't come out all the time. We wish it would come out more, but it doesn't. So there's two types of procrastinators out there. There's a deadline procrastinator, which, quite frankly, for a lot of us, has been almost functional. That's how we function in life. If we have a deadline that we have 7 days to do, no way do the vast majority of us, if we're really honest, do we really jump into it full force the first day or the second day. We might dabble it on the third day, but we really don't get on it until that procrastination monster comes out, that deadline on that fear of, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then you can stay up all night and you finally get things done. That's the deadline procrastinator. Now, the thing with the deadline procrastinator is that although you may get things done, you may get that paper done in the last 3 days when you had all semester to do it, but is it really your best work? Did you give it your best? And when you give something your absolute full attention and best, you're the one who gets all the rewards for it, right? You grow as a person, you develop as a person, and then others get to admire and they get to grow off of the work that you do. And this applies to anything in life, not just a silly term paper in college, and I'm completely against college. It's antiquated. It's absolutely no use to anybody anymore. But then there's the second type of procrastinator, and this one's the scary one. This is the no deadline procrastinator. And the problem is really serious, is that because there is no deadline, there's no professor threatening to give you an F, or there's no deadline at work. If you don't get something done, then you're going to lose your job. Maybe you want to start a business. There's no hard deadlines. It's completely up to you. You're your own person, your own entrepreneur. There's no deadline. What you're going to do? It just goes on. It just never really gets started because you've always been used to those deadlines. What about health goals? I mean, unless you've got heart problems or cancer, God forbid, or failing kidneys or something, there is no real sense of urgency for the health goals. I mean, yeah, you may be 60 pounds heavier than you were in high school, but that was 10 or 15 years ago, and you've gained the weight on slowly, and yes, you go to the doctor, and the doctor might say, you know what, your blood pressure is pretty high. You could maybe go on some medication, and you may even go there and say, we need to put you on some statins or some medication. Your blood pressure is too high, and you need to lose some weight, and your blood work's just not looking good. Here, take some pills. And you're like, okay, geez, I knew this day was coming. Yeah, this is probably the time I should probably get in shape, but for right now, I'll just continue to take the pills. There is no urgency. Or even spend more time with family and friends, or develop. How much of us as parents have said, you know what, I want to develop a closer relationship with my kids or my spouse on here. Or even I want to learn a new hobby or learn a new language. There's no sense of urgency on here. So what's happening is that because you're procrastinating, understand this is serious. You are literally missing out on life. You are literally missing out on experiences and becoming a richer person on that. So, how do we stop procrastinating? Because if you can stop just doing this one thing, if you can successfully stop procrastinating, I hope I've made myself clear and it has come through to you that you will regain your life back. You will regain years lost, and you will become this incredibly rich person. Well, before we get to that, let me just explain through this diagram, and I can't take credit for these diagrams on here. So we've talked about, let's call this darker area on here is in the lower part is a dark playground. And it's dark because, we play in it, but with the procrastination monkey, but we don't deserve it, and we got all the weight on the shoulder of things we should be doing, but we still hang out there. And in the center on here, we see the critical entrance. That's the dark forest. Now, the dark forest is the actual task at hand that we have to do. We may or may not like it, but it's a task we have to do. But we keep putting it off. It's like, well, go to the dark woods or hang out in the dark playground. It's kind of both the same, but almost easier to play in the dark playground. And the procrastination monkey most definitely does not want to go up into the dark woods, because for the procrastination monkey, the dark playground is the light playground. That monkey has no sense of the past or the future. But if we can just get past this dark forest in the center, there's a tipping point in there. And then we can get up into the happy playground outside of the forest, and maybe along the way, sometimes we might actually get into the flow state. That is where we just want to continue whatever project we were on here. So this is it. This is the critical point on here. The monkey wants to go back to the dark playground because it's not a real dark playground for the monkey, right? That's where the monkey likes to hang out. But for you, it is. And you want to go into the dark woods. It's kind of both the same to you. All you got to do is you got to realize that, pull you and the monkey into the dark woods. You're going to have to yank on them for a while. It's not going to be pleasant. You got to overcome this tipping point. Then all of a sudden you kind of realize, hey, this isn't so bad as we start getting through the dark forest. And then you'll get to a place that you and the procrastination monkey have never been before. And that is in the happy playground. Because both the dark playground and the happy ground is the same for the monkey. You just brought the monkey along there, and now you're both enjoying it because you earned it. You made your way through the dark forest. So, anyways, when someone explained this to me one time, it just totally clicked with me. So let's get into some specific things on how you can stop procrastinating. But the big thing is what I've just explained right there. It's being aware of it on here. So really what you want to do is you want to find many multiple ways of creating your own panic monster on here. One of those is to make public goals on here. Maybe for health. You want to set a goal that, hey, I want to run a half a marathon or a 5K this year. I want to do that. Well, for those kind of races, they have them, those big ones all year round. You can sign up for them up to a year in advance, and you got to pay an entry fee, which is a couple $100, and maybe you select one that's outside of town. So then you also got to pay for it up front, the entry fee to get your number and all that kind of stuff, and you got to prepay for the hotel and the plane tickets, and now you're like committed, and now you're making a public goal. That's going to give you that sense of urgency to go out and do it, and more than likely you're going to end up doing it. A lot of you on this call want to get out of a JOB. I mean, a JOB is literally just exchanging time for money. It's modern day enslavement. Let's be honest about it. It seriously is modern day enslavement. It's a whole nother webinar. Set a hard quit date. I mean, a hard quit date. Let everybody know that you're going to be quitting at this and such a date, so it gives you a sense of urgency. You've got to get your business up and running so that you can do this on the end of it. If you've wanted to learn a language, if you've wanted to pick up a hobby, put down a non-refundable deposit on these lessons. Get that sense of urgency going about that. And I guess the other thing on here that's really important, and these are simple things, but this is what it takes. We don't need to overcomplex this. Instead of thinking about A to Z, soups and nuts, everything. It's too overwhelming. That's a huge cause for procrastination. Just think A to B. That's it. A to B. Once you get to B, then think B to C. The A to Z is way too overwhelming for myself, and I know for a lot of you out there. So, what have we gone so far on here? We've talked about strategies. That's the lift, okay, that gets the plane to fly. Now we're ready to talk about some really, really simple tactics. Now, some of these tactics on here, these tactics I'm going to share with you are specific to Call Dec on here, but you may have other tactical things that you want to do. But before you can even hope to make those happen, the tactics and the strategy, you've got to implement these strategies. If you've got a clear thinking mind, you've got lots of energy in your body, in your mind, and you're not up and down on these sugar highs, and you're not able to think as clear, and you're in a fog all the time, and you're, it's literally wasting time eating breakfast and lunch. It's such a waste of time. That's part of the strategy. The other one is, come on, I mean, there might be 0.11% of you who cannot relate and say, oh, I don't have any procrastination. Most people have procrastination, and most people, procrastination is a much, much, much larger problem than they ever imagined that it was. I just want to emphasize that it takes away from your life. People can literally spend, and think about that, you can spend years, your entire adult life saying, oh yeah, I want to learn that language, or yeah, I want to open up a business, and it just never happens because there is no deadline. Okay? Create your own panic monsters. Learn to tame that monkey on here. And on here, this is Sun Zan, the Chinese warrior who created The Art of War. Maybe you've heard that book on here. And he says that a strategy, that's the lift, right? On a plane, it's like the lift. It's the procrastination. It's getting you mentally aware and lots of energy on that. Strategy without tactics is a slow route to victory. That's kind of like flying a plane. You got a lift. You don't quite know where you're going. It's a slow route to victory. But tactics, that's like the wings without lift, is the noise before defeat. Okay? And that really summarizes and captures the way most people look at goal setting and changing things in their life that they want to do. They go for the tactics. Tactics are sexy. Oh yeah, I can grab a hold of them 1, 2, and 3. They don't take a whole lot of work to do. It's just like procrastinators love to make lists, to-do lists, blah blah blah. But without the strategy, without the lift, it's dead. It's noise before the defeat. Okay, so let's get into this one here, and I'll enter this little PDF workbook, and it's 1 page. It's super simple because we want to get things simple on here. And let me just escape out of that. So this will be specific for any of the Call Z members on here. Just really breaking this down because I see this all too often. Hang on 1 second here. The sound might just go distant for just a second. But I think you'll still hear me. It might just sound like I'm in a box. Let me put this in the chat box. It's just a simple PDF, and then I'll throw it up on the screen here. And we can all take a look at it and just go through it and just really break this down. Super, super simple on here. On that. And paste. And send all. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and open up. Do I got one in here? Yeah. Okay. So let me do this. I'll get mine open. And then we'll rock and roll through this. The good news about this is it's short and simple. And it looks at the pay-per-call lead gen business maybe in a more simplified, manageable way that maybe you've never looked at it before. And this is really what it is. Okay? So I want to break this down in A to B, not A to Z on here. So some of you have already passed this point. So if you are, great, then you just skip number 1. Number 1 is select a niche. And what I've always offered is that after you've gone through the course, Module 1, and you've gone through the exercises, you've selected your top 2 to 3 or 4 niches based on the data, then send it to my support. My support will forward it to me. I'll take my years of experience and I'll help break that down, the work that you've already done, because you can't possibly add 5, 6 years of experience to it like I can, and I can help you avoid some of those trap holes in there. They can be that, or I can look at that and say, hey, look, these first 2 ones, on paper they look like good niches, but these are some of the downfalls with it. But this one over here is really good. You also want to look at X, Y, and Z. So I want to make sure that you get off on the right start. That's so important. Most of you are done with step 1. That's the easy part. Now we go to step 2. This is literally step 1, 2, and 3. I see people just like messing up all the time and spending hours doing all this other stuff, and you don't need to. You go to module 3. We hired an engineer to break this down. It's provable. You can see the webinars that I've done. It's the porta potty site that we've proven, and you can go into there and you can do all the research yourself and see. They're ranking in 300 to 400 cities in the U.S. with no backlinks. Okay, it's a multi-million-dollar site. Now, since I first did that case study, what's interesting is that somebody didn't even get original with another niche. They just went in and did exactly what I taught in the same niche. And guess what? Today they're ranking in more cities with 0 backlinks and the exact same techniques that I show you to do in there. And it's not black hat, it's 100% white hat. Now understand, these porta potty sites that are ranking in that, or any niche, if you're ranking in hundreds and hundreds of cities, and with 0 backlinks, I mean, come on, why wouldn't you do it? These domains are worth millions of dollars. They're bringing in hundreds and thousands of dollars of leads. So I show you, I hired an engineer to show you step by step. You take your first seed article. That one's got to be your best one. 800 to 900 words. It's going to be your homepage for every one of your cities. It's got to be the best one possible. So you got to invest some time, some effort into that. And then you just follow the steps on exactly how you take that one article and turn it into 400, 600, 800 unique articles. It's well beyond spinning, okay? So understand, we're not like, it's not like them just throw it in the software and boop, pops out. It takes a little bit of work, but if you concentrated on this for just a few hours, a couple days a week, by the end of the week you'd have step 2 done forever. Okay? Now we're on to step 3. Again, You don't have to do any thinking here, nothing. We've done everything for you. Again, this is in Module 3. Module 3 is a very important module. What you're going to do is you're going to do 2 to 3 larger cities per month with all the surrounding cities. We've gone so far beyond just listing the cities out for you. We list out the zip codes, the area codes, whether you need an address and whether you don't. And I'm telling you right now, in 98% of them, you don't. Okay? And it's just, this is something you can just hand off to someone else, or you could just spend a couple of hours a week doing it yourself. Okay? And then step 4 on here. Now, really, step 1 and step 2 is a one-time deal. So we'll really just have these 2 steps, which is step 3 and 4. So step 3, once you get done with step 1 and 2, you never have to revisit it again. You're done forever. And now then we're really at step 4 at that point. We provide the unlimited amount of private blog networks and Web 2.0s. You can't make it any easier than that. And you just only backlink 1 to 2 backlinks per month per larger city. Forget the smaller ones. You don't need it. Okay, and I go into great detail in the course of why I'm not going to get all SEO crazy on you guys here. Then you just repeat the above in every city. Basically, you're just repeating 3 and 4. It's just the same. You don't even have to think about it. You've done all the articles. It's like, okay, I'm going into 50 new cities this month. I've got all the content pre-written because that was step 2. You'll never have to rewrite it again. Okay, and literally, you cannot spend repeating step 3 and 4 month after month. It's taking no more than 3 hours per week at absolute maximum. Okay? So now the question becomes, what are you going to do with all your free time? Well, while you're doing that, then you're going to want to work on your second source of income or your second source of traffic, which is paid. You have that available in the course. Pay-per-call AdWords, it's right there. So you can be spending, again, no more than about 3 hours per week. So this is like 6 hours per week. No matter how busy you are, no matter how much you like to procrastinate, you have that. It's all you got to do. What I should have done is I should have started pulling up. I can pull up some actually now. I should have. I'm not going to get it. I have prepared. Many successful students doing this on here. In fact, it's just not myself, but I have a larger team. So Sean and William, they're doing weekly coaching calls as well. And on my last coaching call, I featured a successful student, gave some huge aha moments and immediate action items that people could take. And on the last 2 phone calls that William and Sean did, they had successful students on the call. Okay, so this is not one thing I loathe, especially in this day and era that we're in right now. This whole gotta hustle is a bunch of baloney. Okay, I don't want to get. I could go off on another tangent for an hour about that. But look, there's a whole bunch of fake entrepreneurs out there that are telling you how to go out and develop and grow a business. One thing that's completely different about Callzoo and the entire Callzoo staff and team, which we're growing leaps and bounds, is that we do exactly what we teach. And we do it and we show the income proof, the strategies and everything. And then we have students who are duplicating it and doing it. Because I know there's a lot of cynicism out there. It's like, it doesn't work, it's baloney. No, it works. You know what doesn't work? You don't work. Okay? I got nothing to sell you, so okay, I'm just giving you some tough love on here. So let me turn it over right here to questions and answers. And hang on one second. And let me just recap the high points on here. Look, if you just did 2 main things, you focused on clarity of your brain, which is feeling good, okay? I talked about how you can do that with just some basic fasting. If it sounds totally insane to you, reference back to the Kindle books that I talked about. or just follow my thread. You'll see people just randomly posting stuff on there about, hey, yeah, I heard you talk about fasting. I got no course or nothing about it, okay? And people do it, and they're like, hey, I eat whatever the beep I want between my hours of fasting or non-fasting, and I've already lost 35 pounds, and it's so easy, I can't believe it. I got so much energy during the day. It's the same thing over and over again, and there's science behind it. It's not a fad. We were not designed to eat 3 meals a day, folks. It's just the way it is on here. So if you can just mentally become more clear, you're going to feel better, you're going to have more energy. When you just feel good and you're happy, you just feel like doing more, right? When you're tired and grumpy and irritable, you don't feel like doing anything, okay? So it's common sense. Food and whatever you put in your mouth is a drug. It directly affects how you feel. Don't think it doesn't, okay? Don't think that cheeseburger or that junky food, and I'm not talking about perfection, okay? I'm just talking about progress and just being aware, okay? And just try some new things, all right? I'm not on some dogmatic food train here where, vegans go, some, not all, but some vegans just go completely nuts on that stuff. And raw foodists. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about balanced, improve some areas, don't be perfect, still enjoy your chocolates or whatever you want, but just make some of the basic changes that I said in there. Well, you'll feel so much better, okay? And plus you want to enjoy life too at the same time. And then really become aware of procrastination. I was never aware of how much I procrastinated. And the thing is, it's not like, the thing that saddens me about it, my own personal life, is that it's not that like the things that I didn't get done. It's like it's a part of my life I missed out on. I mean, you're literally missing out on life. If you say, oh, I'm going to learn this language or whatever, and you never do, or I'm going to start this business, and you just never get around because there's no hard deadlines, or you do have hard deadlines, but you didn't give yourself the full deadline time, 2 weeks or 1 month, to really produce a magnificent piece of work. So you could show yourself and start to create pathways and patterns of how you start to produce and show up in this world and how other people get to see you. It's really huge on that end of it. So those two things, that's the strategy. That's the wind on the sail. That's the lift on the plane. Tactics, which we talked about tactics. It was the shortest part of it, if you notice. The tactics on here, that's the sail. Those are the wings on the plane on here. And you have to have both. Okay, you can have one without the other, but it's either going to be a slow death or a slow victory. All right, so questions and answers on here. Let me there's a ton of them. Okay. Alrighty, good stuff. Alrighty. Okay, so someone says in here, I won't mention the name on that, but it says if I could quit booze, I could conquer the world. I would strongly encourage you. Addiction, I could do an entire program on addiction. There's so many types of addictions. It's a huge elephant in the room. But what I can say is that there's a couple of things on here with addiction, particularly alcohol addiction. It has a lot to do with your insulin levels, on your spiking them, and if you can get your body in a state of ketosis, do some research on it, and that starts with some fasting and increasing the good fats and eating within a smaller window of time. Same amount of calories or as much as you want, you won't gain any weight. As long as you're eating the good fats, moderate protein, lots of vegetables, those cravings are gonna and also for sugar, and any other kind of addictions like pain medications are going to go away. You've seen me before. If not, look on my YouTube channel, which is just Chris Winter's Vids, V-I-D-S. One of my most popular videos on there is me talking about intermittent fasting and detox. It's a niacin sauna detox. I did 5 in a row when we were up skiing just a few days ago. And it's look up Dr. U, and U. Doctor. Just Google Dr. U. Most of you know Dr. Maricola. If you don't, get to know Dr. Maricola, and type in Dr. U, Dr. Maricola, niacin, sauna detox, or just sauna detox, and you'll get a YouTube video or an article that shows up, and within 60 minutes you'll have a total protocol. It's the same protocol they use for drug addicts, because you want to get, what happens is that is that the alcohol or whatever drugs you're addicted to gets trapped in the body, and even when you try to quit, then it slowly releases into the body, which increases cravings, and this helps release it. The point is, there's a lot of stuff you can do for addictions, and the other thing is don't be a lone ranger. Don't do it alone. If you don't want to go publicly, like face to face in one of these AA meetings, there's plenty of AA meetings online on the end of it. You do not want to be living that way. Trust me on this end of it. Okay, good. Love the Complete Guide to Fasting book by Dr. Dung, D-U-N-G. I'm a kidney pancreas transplant recipient 20 years ago due to kidney failure from type 1 diabetes, and also type 2 diabetes is actually the #1 cause of kidney failure. And it's completely treatable within a week. Type 2 diabetes, that is. And type 2 and type 1 diabetes, I could go into that, but it's like opposites. It's not even the same. One is you don't produce enough insulin, and type 2 is you produce too much. Nice. Good. First, the first 10 minutes about calling, repeat the books on that end of it. I just did. Dr. Dung on that. D-U-N-G. Yeah, the #1 book on that for the fasting is I'll look on it on my phone real quick, because I got it on my Kindle there. But if you just look up George Dung, and George Dung is it's #1 in Kindle right now. The pH of water and antitoxins is critical for health and feeling healthy too. Yes. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's so many other aspects to feeling better, but if you just learn to manage your insulin levels, it doesn't mean if you're diabetic or not, you just learn to just change your diet up, do some fasting, reduce those simple carbs on that, replace them with some nice healthy fats. And your brain and your hormone loves those omega-3 fatty acids, okay? And you start to do that stuff, you're going to feel empowered, and empowered to go on and discover these other things. There's so many different avenues you can go down, right? All right, cool. Thank you for your interest in the course for the intermittent fasting and working out. I mean, to be honest with you, I've got too much on my plate. I just got so many great opportunities on here, and I'm running 5 different businesses, and having a blast doing it, by the way. But to really hit the health industry, and because there's so many things I want to do with that, or the different lines of products. I mean, the right kind of products. I mean, there's not. It's like when you do the niacin detox. If you really do the research, there's various different kinds of niacin, and you want to do the full flush, but there's different levels of it. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff that we're doing. It's in the works, but we're going to get out to that for sure. Replays are always available. Just contact my support at support@callsdec.com. Strategy wins the war. Tactics win the battle. I like that, Kevin. Thanks. You just summed that up nicely. Heart, no, none at all. Yes. Bill, contact my support@callsdec.com. They're on right now, so just that will help you out. So we have seriously hooked on sugar. You know what? That's like a huge addiction, sugar, and it's because we live. You know, even if you don't eat candy, particularly the U.S. diet, it's just a sugar diet. It really is. All the fructose. I mean, everything's got fructose. It's got GMO, soy, and just the flour. Sometimes they like healthy beet juice. It's been totally, beet juice, sugar. So it's the same thing. Anyways, yeah, for sugar is really hard, but I'm telling you, you want to really look at fasting, for like a 16, 8-hour window, and then while you're fasting, in your eating windows, start to get rid of and replace. Just make it a gradual process. Just replace. Start with something. An easy place to start is just take wheats and just say, I'm not going to have any wheat, and just find some good, healthy alternatives. And some great, really satisfying alternatives is like I find like sweet potatoes with lots of grass-fed butter on it. Just lather that stuff up, and then a little sprinkle of some cinnamon over the top. Oh my God, it's so good. And there's just lots of little alternatives you can find like that to totally satiate that sugar craving. But the thing is that once your body starts getting used to burning fat over glucose, your sugar cravings disappear, dude. I mean, they're gone. Alrighty. Intermittent fasting, 2017. Cool. Thomas, you're welcome. Good. Alkaline diets were good, sure. Okay, let's go down here. Yeah, definitely, Sean. So that's a good reminder. So if you're going to do this niacin and charcoal diet, or charcoal afterwards, sauna, you want to use the full flush niacin. And they don't always, I just say go on Amazon, look for it. And they don't always say full flush. Usually what happens is that I always tell people just to look through the reviews, and if the reviews are complaining like, oh, this got my skin all red and itchy, that's the one you want. Because the other one, because it's, you want the niacin. You can listen to and Dr. Yu, Y-U, and I think his first name is actually George too, Dr. George Yu, Y-U. But anyways, if you just type in Dr. Yu niacin sauna detox into YouTube, you'll see many of his presentations up there. And he can give a better explanation of the niacin making your skin red and breaking open the fat cells to release the toxins, because your fat cells hold toxins in it. On that, and doing that same protocol, people who are heavy on drugs in the past, they suddenly have those drugs released back into their system. They can feel it, and they get high again as it's released into the body on that end of it. Okay. The PDF works. Just make sure you copy and paste, make sure that you copy and paste the entire thing right there. Let me send it again. And if you have an issue with it, again, just contact my support at Callzoo, K-A-L-L-Z. Alrighty, Drew, you're very welcome. Forks and Knives, highly recommended. Yeah, you know what? These great documentaries like Forks and Knives that come out, which is on Netflix. I think it's actually free on Amazon's movie channel. These end up changing people's lives. They're like, they watch these documentaries and they're like they had no clue. Do I think cheat days are BS? It depends on the person. So if you're cheating with your drug, and food is a drug, then it's no different than an alcoholic cheating with alcohol, and you end up just going back, and you can't stay off of it. So it depends. It's not about perfection; it's about progress. But I mean, if you're addicted to sugar, and there's plenty of studies out there showing that sugar is just as addictive or very close to addictive as some of the most hard street drugs out there. You don't want to be having sugar on your day off, right? But it's like if there's that's just not smart. But if you've got, your brother-in-law or your brother-in-law's getting married, or there's, Thanksgiving's coming up, or holidays, or you get together with friends, no matter what time of the day it is, and you're all going out to eat, I mean, that's part of being pleasurable and enjoying, your day out. Maybe that's your day off, but it's not your drug day on, okay? So if your drug is sugar, then you're certainly not going to be reaching for the gum drops and stuff like this, because then you're going to relapse. Okay. Sweet potatoes with coconut oil. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. What would help heal the gut? Good question, Alex. Yeah, there's so many different avenues of health you can look at. But if you follow any of my Snapchat or YouTube videos on this, but every single meal that I have, it's fairly easy for me because I'm married to a Korean, but so we have a lot of fermented vegetables, and you can ferment any type of vegetables, but the fermented vegetables provide a good probiotic bacteria that we all are lacking in our gut, which is going to help our immune system, our digestive system, our moods, our energy levels on that end of it. So if that was like a stage 2 thing you'd want to do, I would definitely add fermented. Don't take the shortcut and take the little probiotic pills, because most of those little guys in there are dead anyways. It doesn't matter. And it's so easy. I would just YouTube how to ferment cabbage. And you literally don't need anything fancy. All you need is like green cabbage, some good healthy salt, like some Himalayan salt, some gray salt, not Morton salt. Morton salt is absolute poison. They take everything that's good out of it. Every single mineral they take out of it, except for one, the salt. Anyways. So you just need some good salt, gray salt or Himalayan salt. Salt that contains all 83 known minerals in it, basically. And Morton salt contains one, just sodium. It's bullshit. And cabbage. What else? And a little piece of like apple or a little bit of honey. And that's it. You don't need anything else that anyone else is trying to say. And a glass jar with just any old lid over the top. That's it. That's all you need. And you follow the videos on YouTube. There's a lot of them out there. After 3 days, you've got some fermented cabbage, and it's just like, okay, so I could do that. What else could I ferment? And you can add a little bit. You get a little bit to like guacamole if kids are eating guacamole and dip, or a little bit to like chili, not after the chili's been warmed and it's sitting on the table. You don't want to cook it, because you cook it, then you kill the enzymes. It's so easy to add to things. It's like you don't even realize it. You don't taste it. But I like the taste to it too. Is there an alternative to the sauna not available? Anything that's going to heat you up, according to Dr. Yu, but there's a lot of pretty hardcore evidence out there that the infrared sauna is the best. But anything that's going to heat you up to get you sweating. See, you're one of the largest detoxing organs in the body is your skin. And people who are not healthy, and they usually got a lot of plugged up pores, and they're plugged up over years of washing with soap that's got all kinds of crap in it. And you got all these millions of pores in your body, and some of these pores on here are up to 3 miles long, and very small microscopic ways. But this is one way that your body sweats, and it helps push toxics out, also through your liver, kidneys, urinating and stuff like that. But your skin's your largest organ for that. And then we're sitting in clothes all day long that have been washed in dirty fluoridated water with usually like Tide and with heavy chemicals and crap like that on it. And that stuff just soaks into the skin. And then we go and we take a shower, and that's all got fluorine, all kinds of chemicals and crap in it. And then it plugs up our pores, and then we can't excrete toxins. So what happens is you see somebody go into a sauna for the first time after living a traditional life. And they don't sweat because they're plugged. Their pores are plugged. They don't sweat, and all of a sudden they're tired and dizzy, and they need to get the hell out. They need to clean that skin up first. That's a whole other thing here. Yep, a lot of benefits to niacin, there's no doubt about it. Yep. What to have for breakfast? Coffee. Probably the best thing to have for breakfast, which I would suggest if you're going to start a fast, which is really easy. And I don't promote very many people's products on here, but Bulletproof's Brain Octane Oil. Just research it. It's or just, trust me and do your own research on it. But that will immediately help get you in a ketosis state. It'll curb hunger and fuel the mind. So you're not thinking about that. So coffee and Bulletproof Brain Octane. It's really the real deal. It's good stuff. And I order it out here in Spain, and stuff like that comes from the States is like, I pay twice as much as you do for it. Trust me. Fasting. Do you skip breakfast and lunch every day? Yes. Yeah, most people say you should have a good breakfast and miss lunch. Read Dr. Dung, D-U-N-G's book about fasting, and the plethora of podcasts and studies that are out there, and make your own decision. But don't go off of what other people say, because other people say breakfast is good for you, the 3 meals. And other people also say you're crazy if you want to quit your 9-to-5 good college earned job. Can you be in ketosis on a fruit diet? You can. You have to monitor it. Someday I'll do some videos on some really interesting tools you can actually get on Amazon to actually accurately check your glucose levels and your ketose levels. There's some really interesting stuff out there right now. And you can actually fit in fruit. See, that's the thing. If you're going to go 100% ketosis, I don't recommend it. Because in order to stay in that state 100% of the time, you're going to become nutritionally deficient. Whereas a more ideal way to do it, or no, I don't want to ever say ideal, I think a smarter way to do it is that you're in a state of ketosis for the majority of time, and then you've got a couple of days where you're not like full on out. You're still going to detect it in your urine and stuff, but you've added some really good stuff. And that brain octane oil helps you keep you in ketosis that allows you more room in your diet to bring in stuff like some really good rich fruits and vegetables in there. And then you're going to be just fine on that. So there's nothing wrong with fruit at all. Outstanding webinar, Chris. Thank you. I'm glad you found value in it. Yeah, Dan. Yeah, if your wife or any friends want to watch the replay, absolutely, just pass it out. I'll give out not only a link for the members, but also just a naked YouTube video, so a link so anyone could watch it. Could it bring my blood pressure down? Fasting, absolutely. There's tons of studies out there to show that it will bring your blood pressure down and help correct all of your other blood work too. In fact, it can do it within a week, and a doctor will be like, wow, that's really crazy. You've missed your calling in life. You should have been diagnosed in health code. Thank you. Yeah, Jason Dung, not Fung, Dung, D-U-N-G, Dung on here. And if any of these you're missing out on, just contact my support. I have a full-on staff there that's fully aware of what I'm doing and questions that people stuff ask. That's at support@callsdec.com. Can you do niacin while biking fully clothed? Yes. If you look at and study what Dr. Yu, and also Dr. Yu references other people that he learned from, so you want to reference some of those too to kind of get the full history and spectrum from it. But yeah, the whole idea with the niacin is that you take the niacin, and niacin is completely harmless, even in the highest dosage, by the way, confirmed by doctors. There's no ill effects to it whatsoever. And the idea is you take the niacin and then use some vigorous exercise for 20, 30 minutes. So you could do some biking, whatever, and then you want to heat up the body at that point, so beyond what exercise can do. So that's where the infrared sauna comes into play, or an electric sauna, or even a steam sauna, okay? Sitting in a hot bath, I assume it could in the hot baths. Yeah, definitely. On that, I mean, obviously in Thomas in Korea, there it sounds like you've got some experience with that. The hot baths are definitely there. They also have electric saunas there too. On that, but anything to raise that body temperature up beyond what exercise or even a hot day would do is the idea, to get you to sweat. You want to be sweating. That's the idea, sweat those toxins out. How do you clean the pores out? That's a whole nother loaded question on that. There are some protocols you can do. I'll have to make some videos on that. Protocols you can do, safe protocols with actually cleaning the skin off. But one thing you can start doing like immediately is getting any kind of rough skin pad that is designed to clean off the skin while you shower, and get used to it, and then just start scrubbing harder and harder and harder. That will help clean up the pores right away with that. Yeah, this is being recorded. Is there a way to measure insulin levels and spikes? There is, and the way that you measure it is you measure your glucose levels in your bloodstream. And there's a thing called your fasting or your resting glucose levels. You can actually get strips to test that from, like, if you're in the States, like in CBS. And your glucose levels are directly related to your insulin levels. So that's an indirect way to do it, kind of a home way to do it. Otherwise, the only way that I know to do it directly, that's an indirect way, and it will do it fine. But the indirect way to do it, or the direct way to do it, you have to actually go visit a hospital or a clinic. But one way to definitely one way to do it for sure. I mean, you can feel it, and then you can also measure the glucose in your bloodstream. Which anything like after you're eating, if it's like at 120, is pretty darn good. It's kind of average. And then if, say, you've been fasting for like 16 hours and then you do it, anything below, 80 is outstanding. Can you give me any more information as a diabetic? I don't want to give you information about a diabetic, to be honest with you, on here. You should really contact... and the expert that I know in the States, and he has books on that, Lee, is Dr. George Dung, D-U-N-G. He has 2 books out, and he has clinics, and he has clinics that he's trained other doctors with across the country on that. And he's really the expert. And that's for type 2. That's what he was trained in. So. And he's got he's got a natural way to do it, and he's just got on his website. If you just look him up, the internet, you can look him up. He's got hundreds of testimonials of people with type 2 diabetes that within a week, or literally 7 or 14 days, are cured and off all medications. And especially with type 2 diabetes, it's the way they treat it right now is they treat it as though it's this progressive disease, and so first you start off with insulin, then your insulin increases, then you gain more weight, then you put more insulin on, and then you got to get on 3 or 4 different other medications, and it's just like, that's the way they treat it the way it's supposed to be. It's just not. And people just get off that stuff right away. Good. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm having a lot of fun on here like everyone else. Yeah, any kind of Kyle. Look, just the thing is with this kind of stuff, when you like if you guys are interested in doing like a detox, and we'll have heavy metals and stuff. And there's just so much around us that's a good thing to do. A niacin, sauna, charcoal, detox. I would say once a quarter at least, for a week or so. But look up online what Dr. YU has to say about it. He's the expert at it. I'm not. I'm just a implementer of it. But don't get caught up when you. People tend to do this, and I get caught up in it too. So it's a reminder to myself as well as to you guys and gals out there, is that don't get caught up in like, okay, what's the best niacin to take? I mean, just take the flush niacin. There's different grades in between, but any of them is going to be better than what you're doing now, which is nothing, right? And then the second thing is don't get caught up and say, oh, geez, the only thing I have available is an electric sauna, and I don't want to get those electric, currents through me. That's kind of like, I've read that's not good. I want to get the infrared, and then you just end up not doing anything, and then you're no better off at all. So whatever it means you've got available, just do it. Just do it. It's like people are like, well, I don't want to start eating healthy because I can't find a good source of grass-fed beef. Well, that doesn't mean you you can't start eating cleaner cuts of whatever beef you've got available to you, and cut out the crappy processed food you're eating. It's just like don't go for perfection. A lot of times people are looking for the absolute perfect way to do something. Otherwise, they're not. It's got to be an all or nothing thing, and it's just not the way life works. Okay. Alrighty, so let's just sum this up on here. Awesome call. I really enjoyed it. I hope everyone else did too. The numbers hang on here pretty much the whole time, so we're able to keep some attention on here, and hopefully this helps you guys out and gals out there. I know personally how hard change can be, and a lot of times it's not your fault. Everyone's saying, hey, write down goals, write down lists, and all this kind of stuff, and all that stuff can work. But if you're not thinking clearly and just kind of feeling good, feeling a little energized, then you just don't feel like doing anything. You're just like cranky, irritable, tired all the time. So we laid out some really simple ways that you can remedy that stuff like almost immediately. Within the first few days, you'll feel the difference, which is cool. And it doesn't cost you anything. Fasting costs you nothing. Okay? That's the cool thing about it. And anybody can do it. Okay? And so the second thing, and I think it's really pandemic, is just this procrastination. I think it's already kind of inherent in us, maybe not, but then we get all these little distractions, We've got all these things online, like within our fingertips. We never leave. We never leave it. Our smartphones, and they can just that's the monkey. So we've got to figure out how to get rid of the monkey and to get more of this guy here on the left-hand side of your screen in red, to scare that monkey away. And then you're ready for the tactics. You're ready to implement some really basic tactics. That's it, man. That's going to build the momentum to the transformational change that we all want to do in our lives. And we all need to do it. We all need to encourage each other to do it, because the more you change, the more you become who you want to be, the more you express yourself, the more people we have on this planet that inspire others to make a change, and which is just a better place to live. So anyways, remember I know where most of you are listening right now, it is early, or it's afternoon, and you might be getting ready for New Year's Eve. Please be safe. Like I alluded to earlier, I wasn't joking. New Year's Eve is what I've always called amateur night. I've made it a rule for many, many years that this is the night. Just stay home. You just stay home with friends and family, because you got a bunch of amateurs out there that they just decide that tonight's the night they're going to overdrink, and they're not used to it, and so things happen. So be safe, and we'll talk to you in 2017 in the new year. Make it a great one. Bye-bye.